Yesterday, I was offered $76,000, 7 million Russian rubles in cash, bank loan, for any purpose. Just come and take the money. I had a telephone call on my Russian line. A commercial bank employee was calling. Odd, because for 2.5 years, I've been out of Russia. I don't do any banking in Russia. I do not transfer anything. I do not earn anything there. I do not work. I do not get salary. Nothing. Yet they called. A fellow salesman offered me 7 million rubles for up to 3 years. I politely declined and hang up. After a couple hours, the same guy called me again. He offered me better terms that time, up to 5 years instead of 3. I told him that I didn't need the loan, and he was very surprised. He asked me why. Why are you rejecting my offer? Don't you need money? I told him I needed money very much. I just didn't need the loan he was offering. There's a big difference between money and a bank loan. At the end, he told me something very interesting. I said, look, I've been out of the country for a long time. I don't do banking in Russia anymore. I am unemployed from the bank point of view. I don't get paid salary. I don't earn anything. And I currently don't have any assets. No cars, not real estate. On top of that, I don't have any loans outstanding. I do not make monthly payments. Why are you offering me a loan? It is as unsecured as it can be. Oh, we don't care about that, he said. We are issuing loans to anyone who wants to take them. And we're very resourceful. We'll find a way. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. You will not find any BS, propaganda, or lies here, but you will find common sense, truth, and logic, and some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. This message will consist of 3 parts: the message itself, then discussion, I'll answer questions, we'll talk, and the prayer at the end. Our usual schedule. And I would like to start by telling you just a couple words of information about financial system. Why it is important, what it is, and why it's important for any country. A stable financial system is capable of efficiently allocating resources, assessing and managing financial risks, managing employment levels close to economy's natural rate, and eliminating relative price movements of real financial assets that will affect monetary stability or employment levels. And the banks are the backbone of any financial system. They help to efficiently allocate resources and manage financial risks. They keep the blood of the economy, money, flowing, so to speak. Commercial banks in Russia are regulated by the Central Bank of Russian Federation. It has some unique functions, unlike regulators in other countries, but the idea is the same. Keep the blood of the economy, money, flowing, so to speak. Commercial banks in Russia. So, let me move the microphone a little bit. So, Russian Central Bank recently raised the key interest rate to 19%. That is absolutely insane. And the central bank has released some data, okay? And most of the data is disturbing. And this is why I decided to make a live stream today. Well, I'll start with, you see, Russian central bank has been very efficient at keeping, well, it was efficient for keeping Russian economy afloat in the first months of the war in 2022. And then it started gearing towards having one goal, that is to keep the inflation low. And it's been using one tool. It was raising the key interest rate more higher and higher and higher. And currently we are at 19%. And I believe it's just 1% short of all-time record in Russia. That happened in 2014, when there was a huge decline, devaluation of Russian ruble overnight. In minutes, the central bank increased the key interest rate to 20%, but for a very short time. So now, recently, well, this measure that central bank is doing, increasing the key interest rate, it's not helping because there are different circumstances, other circumstances that are driving inflation high. Okay, and that is federal budget spendings to keep the war spendings, the war costs high. Okay, and that is killing all efforts of central bank to keep the inflation low. But what the central bank has successfully done is it has slowed down Russian economy. It made money very expensive, therefore it's killing Russian businesses. Okay, and Elvira Nabiulina is foreseeing big troubles on the horizon. Until recently, all she talked about was high inflation. The central bank's task was to keep the inflation low. Central bank task was to make sure that the prices don't go up as much and, things like that. But her tone changed. All of a sudden, keeping the inflation low is not the priority. The priority is to keep the banks alive. She has started talking about a serious threat Russian financial or banking industry is facing, and it is overcrediting. According to the central bank data, 40% of borrowers with 80% credited, meaning they spent 80 or more percent of their monthly incomes to pay back bank loans. Just think about it. 40% of borrowers like that took out loans using their used cars as collateral. In my eyes, Elvira Nabiulina doesn't say directly, but, to me, and I think to everyone else out there, it's obvious that if you use a Chinese car, a used Chinese car as collateral, then when you default your loan and bank comes to you, it will not recover much. And bank is in big trouble then. Okay, so alarming statistics started coming out of central bank. That doesn't happen too often. At least it didn't happen often in the past. So there are, let me talk about what kind of borrowers in Russia. There are, we can divide borrowers into two major categories, people and businesses. So what kind of people are clients of commercial banks right now? Who borrow the most? First, the poor people. The poorest people of Russia, really. They take out what's called microloans. In the rest of the world, the microloans are known as shark loans. It is legal in Russia, and shark loan companies can charge their customers up to 295% interest, annual interest, 295%. Have you heard of anything like that? The microloans are usually in small amounts, issued up to $100, at least majority of them, until a borrower gets next paycheck. Such loans are simply used to buy food these days. 23% interest every month to buy food. Think about it, 23% every month. And people still do it in large numbers. And Elvira Nabiulina is very concerned. She is concerned that the microloans will bury Russian population and Russian banks, because microloan companies, they take loans from banks in turn to give loans to people. So the second category is those who understand that Russia is in a long-term trouble. And surprisingly, there are quite a few people like that. They understand that hard times are coming in terms both living standard and goods supply and goods price and affordability. These people take out loans and buy things, as many as they can. They buy TV sets, washing machines, irons, vacuum cleaners, kitchens, and I think a lot of them still remember the times of the USSR. I certainly do. They try to stockpile everything they can now because they have a gut feeling. They understand that something is wrong is happening in Russia and not good times are coming. So the category number 3, those people who gamble. Not too many, but there are some, and their loans are usually large. They try to play against the inflation and a Russian ruble exchange rate. They take a loan in rubles now, buy US dollars, wait until ruble is devalued, and exchange dollars at higher rate, get more rubles for dollar, and that is their profit. It is a questionable gamble now because long-term, we don't know what's going to happen, really. So, and the borrowers pay around 30% annual interest. It means that when they start their game, they're already 30% down. They need to make up whatever they want on top of that 30%. And many people do that. I was surprised to learn that's a very high-risk scheme. I personally wouldn't do that. Category number 4 is those who have lost their minds, literally. There are also a lot of people like that, I'd say a couple million. They are the families of those soldiers who signed up military contracts, got military bonuses, sign-up bonuses, and went to the front lines to take up guns and kill Ukrainians for money. They get paid around 200,000 rubles every month. That's a little under $2,000. And they send lots of money to their families. And usually, these people are poor, because if you are well-to-do, why would you do that, right? Why would you be tempted by, $20,000? Why would you sell your soul for that money? Doesn't make any sense. It's only, mostly people who didn't even dream of money like that. They sign up, they cash out, they leave money to their families, wives, children, parents, and their families, for the first time in their lives, they see that amount of money and they go crazy. They start buying everything, they start spending, they start going out, because people like that usually don't have culture of investing. They don't know how to invest, they never had the money. So for the first time, they get the money and they try to make up for what they missed in their lives. Good food, large screen TVs, perhaps cars. And guess what? They go to banks and take out loans, tons of loans. And banks gladly give them loans because Banks consider them low risk. They get income, monthly income in large quantities, okay? Now, what happens when a person is killed? What happens when the war is over and the payments to soldiers stop coming? You know what? It seems like no one wants to think about it right now. Nor people, neither banks. And Russia's central bank is scared now. Elvira Nabiulina started again emphasizing this problem. Before it was just, oh, we need to keep the inflation down. Now, hey, what's going on? Why banks are issuing so many loans? Why there's such great over-crediting going on? We somehow need to fix that. Now, her talk is not just of the consumer loans. She also mentions commercial bank business loans to businesses. In her press conferences and speeches lately, she emphasizes that the risk number one right now is commercial banks' high credit load. You see, it's not the people who the central bank cares about, it's the banks. If borrowers start defaulting, banks will start going bust, and it will happen very quickly. It'll spread like wildfire. And then it's a domino effect, you know. And then the central bank has two options: to move away, to stand and watch the show, how everything around the central bank is burning, and just stand there and smoke, you know, or to start bailing the commercial banks out. But imagine there are over 1,000 commercial banks in Russia, large and small. Obviously, not all of them are large, but there are 100 that are large. And imagine if Russia's central bank needs to bail out hundreds and hundreds of commercial banks. It's called dokapitalizatsiya, additional capitalization. So central bank takes its reserves that it has stashed for this particular person and gives it out to different banks. Pump them with capital, okay? But that means one thing. People will come to take their deposits back, and those money that came from the central bank will go to people's pockets. Well, it's not the perfect scenario for central bank. So it is trying to keep the banking system as stable as possible now. It is realizing that the crisis has come. By the way, I've been talking about this crisis looming on the horizon for about 2 years now. I started in September of 2022. Well, central bank just followed my suit. So now, the central bank is issuing new policies trying to stop commercial banks from issuing unsecured loans to high-risk borrowers. And judging from the bank calling me yesterday and offering an insanely large cash loan, the central bank efforts aren't working at all. Now, how real is that threat? The borrowers can crash the banking system overnight. Like I said, it's a domino effect. And right now, the central bank is scared because it simply doesn't have money to bail banks out. It might bail a few state-owned large banks such as Sber, VTB, and some commercial banks, Alpha, Tinkoff, and the likes. But that's going to be it. There's simply not much money. Russian budget draft just came out for 2025, and I'm going to be making a stream about that soon, but just to give you a little preview, Putin is increasing the military spendings by 3 trillion rubles, and they were supposed to go down by 3 trillion because back in 2022 they thought that the war would be over by now and the military spendings in 2025 would be cut greatly. No such luck. Instead, they're upping them by 3 trillion. Where that money will come from? From any possible source, including the reserves. Okay, so central bank understands that he will not have any funds, any money to bail the banks out. Now, what's going on now? Where are we standing at this point? You know what? Before that, I would like to tell you how Russian banks earn money. I think that's important to know. There are a few ways, historic ways, how the banks in Russia were earning. Number one, banks earn money at the foreign currency exchange. There was one, not anymore. Russian ruble is not a fiat currency, is not traded freely. The central bank just appoints exchange rate daily. But it didn't used to be the case. You could go to actual currency exchange and, play there. You could buy currencies, ruble, dollar, euro. You could short them. You could hold them. You could sell them. So basically, banks bought low and sold high, just like traders. And they made lots of money. It was not a hugely risky market, not fairly low risk to make money. They weren't making huge amounts, but they took by volumes. No, they cannot do that anymore because there's no currency exchange. Again, the exchange rate, Russian ruble to American dollar and to euro and other foreign currencies are set by the central bank daily based on the principles, no one understands. Number two, mortgages. Russian commercial banks made lots of money from mortgages. This market is shrinking now. Real estate is another bubble that I'm going to be talking about soon. Basically, the living standard, well, just look at the situation in a very simple way. The war is going on. People are leaving. There's more and more real estate vacant. Living standard is fallen. People can afford less and less. The government used to subsidize mortgages because it's such a vital industry in Russia, construction. But it doesn't do that anymore because it's run out of money. So less and less of real estate is bought, and no one really takes out, well, very few people take out mortgages at over 20% annual interest rate, because the key interest rate is 19. So the mortgage is probably around 22, 25% in that range. So that market is dying. And the banks do not make money in mortgages anymore. Number three, foreign trade. Don't forget that Russia does not produce anything. It buys everything, imports everything. And the companies that import, they got to pay abroad somehow. Well, they used to pay easily bank transfers. And that's how a lot of Russian banks made money. Through foreign trade, they charged fees. Now, no one trades with Russia anymore. China was the last bastion, but it's closed now. Russian banks cannot transfer any money to China. Therefore, this industry is not dying, it's dead. Well, not the industry, but this method of earning money, it's dead. No more. Number four, business loans. again, imagine Russia was a fairly rich country with lots of businesses, lots of infrastructure projects, 146 million people. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. We could divide business loans into two parts: infrastructure projects, large government subsidized projects, and simply large projects by large corporations, and small business loans. Small business day-to-day operations, expansion, things like that. So small businesses still need money because there are still quite a few of them are still in business. But imagine borrowing at 23% interest rate. It's insane. If you borrow at 23%, imagine what kind of a profit margin you must have to cover that 23% and earn yourself profit after taxes. I know only two businesses with profit margins are so high. That's illegal drug trading and illegal weapons trading. Okay, you can make that much money there, but not growing something and selling it. Not, providing services and so forth. And then what about long-term infrastructure projects? Let's say you want to build a power plant. Power plant construction takes up to 4 years, a large one. And a power plant, let's say 150 megawatt capacity used to cost around $250 million, 220 to 250. And usually one bank could not develop such projects. So there would be a group of banks getting together and issuing loans for a large project. And of course, there'd be a bank bonds and performance bonds and advance payments bonds and stuff like that, the usual banking stuff. But they are long-term projects. Power plants, bridges, roads, plants, manufacturing plants, large farms. It takes years and years to return your money. In Russia, right now, there's such turbulent situation in business, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So banks simply stopped issuing long-term loans for large business projects. No more. That particular way of making money for the banks is over. Dead. And number 5, consumer credit. Well, that's bread and butter right now. That's the only way left for them to earn money. And that's why they're so aggressive. They're pushing consumer crediting. They are calling people and offering loans, and basically they just give you the money. They shovel it into your hands, even if you don't want to take it. That's my conversation with a salesman yesterday. I said, well, you don't want any money? I said, well, that's the difference between money and a loan. There's no difference to him. To him, he just wants to give me money. That's how usually Russian banks used to earn money, and now they only earn through consumer credits. And now I would like to tell you where we are standing, at what position. And before I jump there, I'd like to thank you again, everyone who is supporting me in this very hard time. The channel has been demonetized with no light in the end of the tunnel. I don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. For now, I'm in jail for another 60 days. And then I can reapply for monetization after that. I'm not sure of the results, but hey, I promised monetization or not. I promised to keep on going. That's what I do every single day. So everyone who helped me, thank you so much. Emails, messages, prayers, love, coffees at Buy Me Coffee, becoming patrons, sending money via PayPal. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Now, where are we standing in terms of banking industry? My opinion is we are in Russia at the brink of disaster. The record number of unsecured, high-risk consumer loans, 37 trillion rubles. Savings of people, Russian people combined, amount to 50 trillion rubles. But that's, like savings, entire savings of people, and 37 trillion rubles are loans. Basically, if banks were to ask everyone to pay back their loans, Russians would be left with very little, almost zero savings. In the business sector, the situation is also worsening. It's also an incredibly high amount of unsecured loans issued. I do not possess the statistics, but the experts are saying the numbers are very high. But I would like to give you two numbers to pay attention to and write them down because they're hugely important. And they are the numbers that could bring all Russian banking system to its knees. Number one, the number of personal bankruptcies in Russia increased by 17.6% in 2024 compared to 2023. And in 2023, they also increased compared to 2022. So the personal bankruptcies are on the increase. And the number two is the number of business bankruptcies increased by 59% in 2024 compared to 2023. 17.6% increase in personal bankruptcies and 59% increase in business bankruptcies. All those who get bankrupt cannot pay banks back. And the bankruptcies are going up like crazy. The experts are saying about record numbers or getting close to record numbers. There are some regions in Russia. When I learned it, it's insane. Average borrower is credited 110%. 110%, the average borrower. Not all provinces, but the poorest ones in Russia, 110%. It's a person pays 10% more that he or she earns a month. So basically, he or she is in red and has to borrow money from somewhere just to keep up on the payments. What do they eat? How do they pay their utilities? This is not sustainable. This cannot go for a long time. Okay? This is crashing. But hey, you know what? Enough listening to me. Let's listen to the experts. The Forbes. The Forbes is warning us, and it relies on the Center of Macroeconomic Analysis and Short-Term Forecasting that a crisis in the banking sector is coming. As a result of this crisis, the Forbes and the Center for Macroeconomic Analysis and Short-Term Forecasting warn us that several countries' largest banks may need urgent capitalization at the expense of the state. That's exactly what my opinion is. Overnight, just like that, when this news of a crisis in one bank hit the media, and everyone will run to that bank to withdraw money. And then everyone will run to their banks, and that's going to be domino effect. And basically, the bank will just call the central bank and say, "Hey, we urgently need money. Give us, 15 billion rubles because we need them right now." And what happens next? Well, told you earlier. Now, the economists from the web portal called ProGorod also warn of an incoming crisis. Even the central bank itself, and it has very good economists, 56,000 people work there, by the way. The central bank warns us of the risks of, existing in the banking industry, citing all economic problems that I've been talking about for the past 2.5 years. The international sanctions, the loss of export revenues, and Russia keep on losing more and more. The exodus of people, the shrinkage of labor force, and so forth. This what I call the perfect storm or economic tsunami, and the Russian central banks finally started talking about that too. Wow, it only took them 2.5 years. Now, why this is so dangerous for Russian economy? And both dangerous and important. For one simple reason. The risks are mounting and climbing, accumulating. This can actually bury Russia overnight. And I don't just mean the economy of Russia. It can bury Russia. Because guess what happens when people all of a sudden realize they've lost all their savings, they've lost all the deposits in their banks. They still have to pay loans, by the way, if bank goes bust. Only they wouldn't have to pay that bank, but the central bank, okay? It's called sanation of banking. So imagine what happens when overnight they lose everything. We've seen that before, 1998. In 2015, what Russian central bank spent a great deal of money. It flooded banks with money not to allow social unrest. But in 1998, I remember quite well. It was pretty bad. People got on the streets and protested. And that protest to get their money back from the banks, it can lead to political unrest, political protesting very easily. And I think that Russian state is afraid of that, and Russian central bank is responsible or made responsible not to allow that to happen. That's why Russian central bank has been very active, talking about it, warning banks, issuing policies, and trying to stop further crediting. Is it succeeding? I don't think so, at least not yet. And I think it's one of the biggest dangers Russia is facing right now. It can bring the result very quickly. Compared to other economic problems, banking problem it's like acute pain, and could be an explosion. Anyway, I'm gonna have my popcorn sitting right here, and I'm gonna be watching this show. It's going to be quite an interesting fall and winter in Russia. I'll keep you posted. Thank you so very much. Thank you for giving me a chance to deliver this message. And by the way, I'd like to mention one important thing. I post news on Patreon coming from Russia that I find important every single day with my commentaries and analysis. And I've realized that no one else does that. I'm the only one. And I think that what I do is very important. So if you want to know stay in the know about Russia, about its economy, about its politics, and generally what's going on in Russia. Sign up to become a patron. Doesn't cost much. There are different tiers. The lowest one is $3 per month. $10, $25, $100, whatever you feel comfortable with. And get access to Russian news, because every day you get tons of news that are important and that matter, that come out of Russia. So check it out. Give it a chance. Thank you. I am inviting you to participate in the live stream chat. I'll try to answer all the questions. And this is my most favorite part of any live stream. I just turned the comments on, and let's talk. By the way, I caught myself that I stopped smiling. I don't know when it happened, but when I lived in the USA, I smiled, and it took me 1 year to start smiling. Yeah, 1 year. And I guess it took me 1 year to stop smiling after I came back to Russia, but I still smiled a lot. But after September of 2022, and the only reason I noticed is because I look at myself on the screen and I just don't smile. Folks, I used to. Hopefully there will be time in my life when I'll just start smiling for no obvious reason again. So welcome to Inside Russia. This is the best community on internet, and it is run by the best moderation team in the world. They are Lorna, Mami K, Bob S, Harry Potnin, Amir Fazat, and Dirk. Thank you, friends, for coming back. Fantastic to see everyone. So we're going to have about 20 minutes of questions, answers, comments, and I will invite everyone to pray along with me. So thank you so much again. Thank you, usual suspects, the pillars of Inside Russia, and just visitors. Thank you so much, mods. Everyone, if you want me to see your comment or message or question easier, please put it in all caps and put Inside Russia after @ That way I see it easier. It's highlighted in orange, just like Harry Potnin did. Thank you, Harry. Good to see everyone. And just like Werner did. Werner Heiko, is the dollar or yen going to replace the ruble in the informal economy, even when prohibited by law? Well, first of all, it's not prohibited by law. Still, it's legal. It is very possible it will be prohibited by law. We don't know, but a lot of people kind of like smelling this new law making foreign currencies illegal in Russia. Thing is, we don't have to imagine the situation. We've been there before. In the USSR, I remember the dollars were illegal. You could get 7 years for simply buying or keeping American dollars. It was highly illegal. The dollar is being used as informal currency more and more. We are seeing it right now, and trust me, it's going to happen more and more, okay, as we go on. Will it replace ruble completely? I don't think so. On the contrary, if they make it illegal, fewer and fewer people will be using dollars or foreign currencies. Just like in the USSR. Some did, but not too many. Because it was scary, KGB catches you, 7 years. Do you need that? Vahe Kaliskin from Chicago, howdy. Baker Stock, Andres Benz, Bob, Great Southernland, Angela, Pamela, Reinhardt, Royal Oak, Kermo, Sam the Legend, K, Ron Glosser, good to see you, Just Jimmy, Donna Kevin, Stefan, Erenka, Per from Sweden, Veronica, Vladimir, Vasilina. Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. Liminal. I can feel your pain through the screen. Thank you. Lots of pain. Makes me sick, physically sick. You know, I get sick a lot. It makes me age very fast. It makes me not smile. And it's just not a wonderful feeling whatsoever. It's not a good feeling. Bob, I hope you feel better. Lorna, also hope you feel better, and all of yours. Palvia Flex, how about possible strategy to get population in debt and to repay that debt is joining the army? I mentioned before, it is possibly a strategy, or it was a strategy. I don't think it's a strategy anymore because of one simple reason. There's too much debt. You know, now I think they are afraid that they've gone too far. They were encouraging people to get debt and to get into poverty. Look, good question. I mentioned in the stream that in some regions of Russia, people are overcredited by 110%, meaning they have to pay banks 10% over on top of what they make for entire months, okay? Now, put yourself into the shoes of a person like that. Works a cashier or something like that, you know, and then doesn't have any money because banks take everything. What that person is going to do when he sees large billboards, oh, join the army, get 2 million rubles, on top get 500,000 from the state and get, you know, and it could be that the person in such poor state mentally, okay, is thinking about suicide. That's very possible. The rate of suicides is going up in Russia. And a recruiter jumps on him and says, oh, you know what, there's a way out for you. Sign up to join the army, and that's it. All your problems are solved financial. And to that person, that could be tempting. It's just he'd have to sell his soul for that, but hey. And now everyone tries to recruit poor souls. Everyone, including cops. Cops get 10% bonus if they recruit in some regions, if they recruit, you know, if their assistance will lead to the recruitment of a person. So you're right. But I think they've gone too far. Right now, it could be like a snowball that has grown in size and it's going down uncontrollably. That's, I think, what it is. So it and hope it grows. Howdy. Balkanavian. Hello, hello. Just Terry, could mergers save the Russian bank? Terry, no. No, no, and no. Because mergers can save banks in general in normal economy. Russia is far from normal economy. It's controlled by the state more and more, and it's a war economy. Everyone in Russia is spending more than earning, okay? No. The only thing that can save banks in Russia is the central bank coming in and additionally capitalizing, giving money to banks, saying, okay, your clients are demanding, let's say, 15 billion rubles from you, you know, to be returned to them. Here's 15 billion, return it. That's the only thing that can save Russian banks. But the thing is, Russian central bank doesn't have that money. Agneta, good to see you from Sweden. Just Jimmy. Ho, 。 Now the wheel has started to turn fast, and it'll go faster. Its question is whether it'll make it through the year. It's until the beginning of the next year. I believe that it's going to make it through this year. There will be lots of troubles in Russia. Money troubles. Well, right now we're seeing that the military spendings will go up by 3 trillion rubles next year. They started talking about the budget draft for the next year. There will be a lot of problems with infrastructure. There will be a lot of troubles with shortages. Not a lot, but we will start seeing troubles with shortages. Shortages, high prices, galloping inflation. Perhaps protesting will pick up. Because now there are more and more protests of wives and family members of those Russian men who were mobilized 2 years ago and still serving. They're demanding to bring them home. We'll see. So Russia will definitely survive. It's not going to crash tomorrow, okay? Nothing is going to stop completely, but it's going to get worse and worse and worse, more and more and more problems. Imagine a graph. When living standard and normalcy is going down and the problems are going up. And that's pretty much how it looks like. Mark Gibson, howdy. John McLean says happy Tuesday. Hey, I hope you're dieting okay. Sarajevo, Vladimir, thank you so much. I'm sending hugs and my love from Uzbekistan to Sarajevo. Yeah, Kevin Baker must know a thing or two about real estate, and he must understand the importance of banking and its connection to real estate market. Olli Toivonen from Finland, howdy friend. We just spoke of a large Finnish company today about the possible project in Uzbekistan. Catherine Futas, thank you so much. I swear, the names become harder and harder as I read on. Paphalapagis. How much worse do you expect the infrastructure issues in Russia are going to get this winter? Oh, it's going to be bad. Bad. And we will know about them. Last winter, 27 major cities in Russia announced state of emergency due to different breakdowns. Hot water, electricity, heat, sewage. You know, all that equipment did not get any younger. No one really fixed it in the summertime. So, but trust me, I'm going to be keeping my eyes wide open because that's a very interesting topic. JH, you deserve some credit for your sharing, but my little money goes to the Ukrainians only. No problem. You know what? Good choice. You will not hear anything from me. It's just words of encouragement. Thank you. And by the way, I am partially Ukrainian too. But yeah, no problem. I respect your position, and that's fine. Hi. Hello, everyone. Didn't get a notification. We'll have to rewind. Thank you so much for coming. Sam K, rubles are Russian monopoly cash. Well, they are becoming, let's put it this way. Sow it and hope it grows. You will smile when you have a huge supply of tea, preferably Irish tea, not Twinings English breakfast tea. You need berries of or lions. Okay, bodies or lions. Oh, I have lots of Twinings English breakfast tea, but I don't have any Irish tea. That's why I'm not smiling. Fred Alley, how can Russia afford to expand the war to Poland or the Baltics? What in the world are you talking about? Of course it will not. It cannot take back its territory from, don't forget that, from the Ukrainians. The Kursk province is being occupied by Ukrainians. And Russia is, well, I don't even know what they're trying to do. I don't think they're trying to do anything because they can't. They don't have troops, they don't have armor, they don't have anything. Poland, Baltic states, no. No, no, and no. Werner Heiko, could China buy out poor Russian banks? No. Well, it can, but it will not. China has forbade its businesses to invest in Russia. I judge by automaking industry. All Chinese companies, and there were a few who announced a couple years ago that they were to invest into Russia and build manufacturing plants in Russia. So the Chinese government got them together in China and said that they don't want them to invest a penny or yuan, even 1 yuan, into Russia as very high risk market. Okay, both for losing money and both for what if Russian government simply seizes, like it seized Danone, stole basically Danone from the French, like it stole Baltica, from the Dutch, right? Denmark, Netherlands. No, from the Danish, right? Is it Danish or Dutch? The Baltica, the Baltica beer making company, brewery. I forgot. Either Danish or Dutch. Please don't throw rocks into me. I know it's important, but so anyway, the Chinese don't want to do that because no, they will not buy out Russian banks. There's no reason for them to do. They're not doing any business in Russia anymore. Dread Boy, it's weird that I feel bad for Nabiulina. She seems like the only competent person trying to keep the ship afloat. To keep the ship, you're right, she is one of few competent people, but to keep the ship afloat for what? For continuing the war? To kill more Ukrainians? What is there to keep the ship afloat for? From my point of view, she is in the same boat with everybody else. She is smart though, yes. She's very professional though, yes. Oh boy, Antonio Ramos, what do you think we should do after Russia's defeat? Treat Russia like Germany after World War One, or like Germany after World War II? How important is to educate Russian people to recognize mistakes like Germany did? I wish I could answer this question. I've been thinking about it 2.5 years non-stop. What happens what should we do when it's over? Unfortunately, I don't have the answer. It's very complicated. Royal Oak, the opposition must be like sharks now, smelling the blood. Well, they should be. Instead, opposition has been split into different camps, and one guy who's financing one of the camps has ordered one of the opposition leaders to be beaten and then either killed or, captured and sent to Moscow. Russian opposition is going against Russian opposition. Those people start fighting, okay? I want to make a live stream about that, but that's pretty insane. It's been a huge scandal for the past 2 weeks. Has been an investigation done, and actually Poland arrested one of the people organizing this beating. So Poland is investigating right now. The more I learn about Poland, the higher my opinion of the Polish is. You people are awesome. That's all I gotta tell you. Diana Newton, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good words. Deborah from sunny California. What do you think of ammo depot losses? Will affect the economy? Yes, there was a lot of money lost there. Of course, there's no official information, but some people say those two ammo storage facilities accumulated 2 to 3 months of worth of supplies to continue the war, the ammo. So imagine that. So it's already been a huge, huge loss, and it will affect the economy. They're upping military expenses by 3 trillion rubles, perhaps to make up those losses, or partially or entirely. And of course, they're not telling us. Joao Morenos, again, my friend, if the economic is state-owned, how will these capitalistic troubles bother citizens living in a progressively planned economy? Black and white. Russia is not black and white, at least at this point. It's not 100% state-owned. There's tons of privately held enterprises. Most of medium-sized, small-sized Russian banks are privately owned, okay? Most of small businesses privately owned. Military-industrial complex is 100% state-owned, and large export corporations, raw material extracting, exporting corporations are controlled by the government. And the government is trying to control more and more businesses, but it's far from, making the economy planned. Not at this point. Vladimir, could you anticipate that Putin and Russia happen to sell part of Russia like it did with Alaska this time to China? That would be short-term solution for Putin. Well, he has been leasing Russian land to the Chinese for a crazy amount of years, for either 50 or 100 years. If they do that, I believe it's going to be far east in Siberia somewhere, and they're gonna do it quietly, because Russian public will not take it lightly. Hal Porter used to write column on consumer finances, lots of questions, but worse than 2008. But worse in Europe. Snowball, yes, far worse than 2008. Recapitalization, vast in money supply. Are you talking about the USA or about Russia? I didn't understand. Paphalapagos. Are trade schools even accepting new students in Russia, or they're basically shutting down? No, they're on the rise. Universities are accepting fewer students, but trade schools are accepting more. They want more workers. They want more soldiers. They don't need more engineers somehow. Kaspar, is there money to be made in Russia? after the war collapse 2.0, in which sector we see it rising? I don't know. That's not the question to me. Cannot help you. Time will tell, and I personally will not be making any money from Russia. Carlos Enrique Salas from Italy, howdy, howdy. And friends, I would like to finish today's live stream. I invite everyone to pray along with me. Thank you so much. Let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for the food you've given us, put us on our tables, and thank you for the roofs you've put over our heads. Thank you for the loved ones that surround us, people who we love and who love us. Thank you for our family and children. Please give us wisdom to keep our children, skies above our children's heads peaceful and safe. Give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that when they grow up, they will not participate in any wars. Just love each other and make this world a better place. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help Ukraine. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people responsible and capable to make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Make them stop it. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected. Answer their prayers, make their wishes come true, and send your angels to protect everyone in Ukraine. Dear Lord, please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords into a mighty, powerful heavenly army, and have Saint Michael lead it. Send everyone down to this earth like your heavenly avalanche to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country, who we know by their faces and by their names, and get rid of them. Send them straight to where they belong, to hell. Dear Lord, please send angels to help good Russians to run the country so it becomes loving, respecting, and peaceful. Please help everyone who is traveling, send them safe travels. Help everyone who is in danger of any kind right now, send them safety. Please help everyone who is asking for asylum. Help single fathers and mothers who are struggling raising their children, trying to make ends meet. Please help everyone who's helping Ukrainians, and help Ukrainians who are currently under Russian attacks or there's possibility of Russian attacks. Please send your angels to protect them. Dear Lord, please help the sick, the hungry, the cold, the addicted, the jobless, the homeless, the ones who are losing their faith, the ones who are crying, the depressed, the lonely, the miserable, everyone who's in need, please help. Show them that you are still with them, watching every step they take, loving them, that you have not abandoned them and never will. Have them feel it. Please help everyone in need. Thank you so much for allowing us to gather and pray. Thank you so much for everyone who's praying along with me, for 5,900 people. Make everyone's prayer heard, and make everyone's wish come true. Thank you so very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. I would like to ask for a few people who need your help. They are Ann Larson and her daughter Hannah, Jeffrey S. and his family, Alex, Mark Rutan, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gabin with Gary, Lisa Cumrian, Harry Potnan, Terry Carter, John McLean, Linda Trombley, Paula W., Dennis, Jason Carney, Susie Mailer, Tim Mayers, Dory, Rhonda McGillis, John, Taylor, Wayne, Dave, Don, Darla, George Ruberty, Pamela, Meta Spencer, David Porter, his family, and everyone in Chernivtsi, Ukraine, Leif, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Ron Klotzer, Liz Dumbrell, Koshkin Dom, Sandra, Mike and Mike, Petra Olson, Joseph Abide, Melissa, Jodes Rames and his family, his wife, Millie, and the family of our great friends and members of Inside Russia community in Texas who are suffering from COVID. Please send recovery. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends, for coming, giving me a chance today. It's been fantastic to have you. Please come back tomorrow for World News Update. And today, I would like to remind you that you're awesome and you rock. And I'm asking to say out loud what I usually say along with me as loud as you can. And that is, Carthago delenda est.